she's right, like it or not. So enjoy the ride, take what she's got, 'cause it's a long way to go if you wanna ride with Mom. Just enjoy the ride.
Hey, this is Vashti with Vashti's House, Mom Talk number 25. Did you know that what you consider maybe the effects of trauma or the way that you are because you're somehow damaged could actually just be a developmental thing? That you're just right where you're supposed to be in the stages of development. And let me explain. It is true that if you've had an interrupted childhood, had childhood trauma, there's a developmental process that changes. By the way, I'm on my way to go visit my mom and go on a walk with her. Anyway, that's where we're going today on our little drive. Anyway, but if you were a child and you had developmental, if you had trauma or a catastrophic event or just chronic stress in the home, you're going to be developmentally delayed. And the reason is because your brain is going to grow into and kind of become stagnant in the level of safety and security. You're going to still remain that infant looking for a primary caregiver, looking for somebody who you can trust to take care of you and be there for you, that's safe and secure. And if that's not available, if your primary caregiver is not emotionally available or physically available, and your caretaking is kind of manic or not even there at all, your brain is going to stay in that infantile stage. And as you grow, you know, your brain will still grow, the actual brain muscle will still grow, but the neurological pathways through the developmental stages into, you know, early childhood, early childhood, and then your elementary years, and up through your young adult, adolescent, young adult, into adult years, the brain will grow, but the neurons will just not be there. And you'll have a few that will be there based upon how to survive in society. But you're going to be emotionally unprepared to handle complex emotions. You won't be prepared to handle complex problem solving. You won't be prepared to handle complex planning. You can't really see in the future. And also, there's a detachment from your physical body and your physical space. You're just still internal, looking for a place to feel secure and be secure. I mean, and obviously it sets you up to have really bad relationships because instinctively your brain is going to go to what it knows. And typically, you know, if you came from chaos and detachment, that's what your brain will gravitate to, even though it's not good for you. By the way, the things that our brains gravitate to, it's just what they're trained to gravitate to. It doesn't mean it's good for you. So don't use your brain as an example of what you're thinking you should do as the example of what you should do on any level. You have to get an outside measurement for what you should do based upon, you know, what's true, what's right, what can be data supported, where there's evidence, and that's how you make your decision. But I digress. Anyway, and so a lot of what we consider mental illness or, mental disability, it can probably, a lot of it, be contributed to just developmental issues, because we will then develop we'll have manic expression based upon an emotional or nervous system overload. If you don't have a lot of neural activity going in lots of different directions, the one or two directions that your neural activity is going can get overloaded very easily. Your nervous system can't regulate again. And so our mental health issues come from compensating for that. And so, you know, when you think about having a mental health diagnosis or that you might be mentally ill, just consider the fact that you might just be in a position where you are developmentally behind. But the good news is that's something that you can compensate for, that you can go back and re-experience the things that you need to grow developmentally. And I want to give it a good example of this. In Salem here, we have a really huge homeless situation. And why people are homeless is a lot of different reasons. I mean, there's some pretty significant primary reasons, but there's a lot of different reasons. But just say you take a scenario where a man is, he and his wife are kind of living on the fringe, barely living, maybe hand to mouth or whatever, maybe in poverty, but the wife dies and the man is emotionally distraught, can't keep up the house, ends up not, paying mortgage or rent or whatever due to his, and this is a true story, by the way, due to his, his grief. And so he winds up homeless on the streets, and it's a place that is not safe, and so you end up not really sleeping. Well, after you're on the streets and you don't sleep well, you suddenly, after 3 weeks or 12 years of not sleeping, whatever the problem was going in, maybe grief was, now you have dual or multi-diagnosis mental health issues. Multi-diagnosis, and you're schizophrenic, but you go crazy without sleep. Going without sleep is going to make you crazy, and it's going to give you diagnosable symptoms of mental health illness. And so, but if you take that man then and just put him in a place where he could sleep for a very long time, in a safe and comfortable place, and there's people that are around him who he feels safe with, they've been able to create a level of trust with him, and so he feels safe to sleep, and he ends up sleeping, and you feed him good food. After just a few weeks, a lot of those mental health diagnoses are going to go away, because it's not internal, it's not at his core, it is just the result of other bad things that have happened to him, and it's his body compensating. So this is what I want to tell you. Go back and look. Do not be discouraged. And even if you have a mental health diagnosis, it doesn't matter, because going back and taking care of yourself from a developmental level is going to be good and healthy for you no matter what. And you think, well, how do I do that? Well, I actually wrote a workbook called Grow Your Heart, Train Your Brain that just gives you exercise to do, things to do. It's a fitness program for your inner self, but it gives you things that you can do that actually simulate early childhood developmental activities that will help your brain naturally move through the developmental stages, which will give you the tools and resources internally that you need to navigate the world as an adult without feeling overwhelmed and overcome by mental obstacles or emotional obstacles. We will have those obstacles our whole life, but we just won't be overcome by them. They won't be the dictators. They will just be obstacles, not the main thing. So think of this. You have the ability, you have the capacity, there are resources of things that you can do to take care of yourself in a healthful way that will naturally move you towards, that will give you internal strength and agility and flexibility, and that will put you in a position of being able to move through your developmental stages, and a lot of the problems just go away. So just don't think of, I'm ill. And again, even if you have a mental health diagnosis or an issue, which I have myself, that's not the main issue. The main issue is, okay, but what can I do to mitigate that or to just move forward? And a lot of it is just developmental and doing the things that your body is just going to fuel your soul, your spirit, that's going to help those neurons grow into other places in your brain so you can access more of your brain for problem solving and future planning and connecting to your body. It'll give you ways of regulating your emotions and having more emotional capacity so your nervous system isn't overwhelmed. It'll give you more trust and help you be more connected with reality and not your false belief system. That resource is Grow Your Heart, Train Your Brain. It's at Vashti'sHouse.com in the Red Door store. You can also get that one off of Amazon. Not everything I have is on Amazon, but that one is as well. I'll put it in the comment section. Hope you're having a great day and make yourself at home.